Hey, how's it going? Parker Welbeck here with FullTimeFilmmaker.com, and in this video I have a very special, very valuable, and very intimate topic that I want to share, and that is my top 10 sources of revenue, or the 10 ways that I make money as a content creator slash filmmaker slash businessman. As of the making of this video, I've been creating content for about 7 years, and when I first started, I was super curious as to what kinds of projects filmmakers were doing to make money and what other supplementary incomes you could make with video, and if the career path of filmmaking slash video production would allow me to make enough money to support a family. 7 years later, I can confirm that yes, you can make enough money to support a family with video, and I'm now going to be sharing with you my journey of how I went from making $10,000 a year in year one at age 22 to now making multiple millions a year at age 29. Now, the order I share these in isn't necessarily from most profitable to least profitable, but rather in chronological order, one being the first way I started making money at age 22 to number 10 being the most recent stream of revenue that I just opened up at age 29. And I'll also be categorizing each of these 10 revenue sources into one of the 4 quadrants as outlined in the book Cashflow Quadrant by Robert T. Kiyosaki, which I highly recommend reading to teach you how to evolve over time and eventually move away from working for money and instead having money work for you. Also, I've created a pie chart to illustrate what portion of my money comes from each of these 10 revenue sources so that you can see which ones are bringing in the most money. So let's go ahead and dive into my first revenue stream, the one that I started with at age 22, and that is working as an employee or contractor for someone else's video production company. I probably spent the first 4 to 5 months of my filmmaking career just shooting anything and everything that I could just to get experience and start building a portfolio. And by doing this, I was making enough money to get by, but I quickly got presented the opportunity to work for Dallin as a full-time employee for his production company. And if you can find a production company that shoots the style of videos that you're passionate about, this can definitely be a great option to making good money and also having more security and safety in the knowledge that you're going to be getting paid every month and not have to worry about the feast or famine aspect of running your own business. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for a production company. You could work for any company that just has video needs. I have friends that have worked as an in-house videographer and editor for alarm system companies, solar system companies, phone case companies, professional sports teams, YouTube channels, and so on. If you have decent video skills, there are endless opportunities out there to work as an employee or contractor for someone else's business. And this first revenue source falls into our first of 4 quadrants, quadrant E, that stands for employee, which basically means you have a job and you trade time for money. Now, because you have a limited amount of time and your skill set is worth a limited amount of money, I'd say that you could expect to make anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 a year working as an employee or contractor creating video content for someone else's business. And that's about how much I was making in my first 3 years, but on my pie chart, this one currently shows 0 because obviously I no longer work for somebody else. Currently, I don't make any money from this revenue stream, and that's okay because I've graduated to bigger and better revenue sources, which leads me to my second revenue stream, and that is owning and running your own production company. After those 3 years of working for Dallin at age 25, I felt like I could make more money working for myself, so I quit and started my own production company. It did take a few months to get my business off the ground, marketing myself to let people know that I was now for hire on my own, but within just 3 months, I was already making more than I did as an employee and was pulling in about $10,000 a month in revenue by doing around 2 to 3 jobs per month. Now, owning and running your own production company means that you are no longer one of many team members creating a production, but that you are now the one in charge of the whole production, which means when companies hire you, you have to come up with the idea, produce, direct, film, edit, color correct, everything. So if you want to be able to run your own production company, you either have to be capable of doing all those jobs, or you have to know a crew of talented people that you can hire as an employee or contractor to fill in those jobs, and then it will be your job to manage that crew to make sure everyone does their job correctly. Now, depending on the budget and concept of the video will depend on how many positions I try and fill myself and how many I hire out. There's jobs like real estate videos or weddings that I can do as a one-man crew, and there's other jobs like higher budget commercials for big companies that I'll often hire out a team around me. For example, as you'll see in another video in this course, my company got hired by a local carpet company to produce a 30-second TV commercial for a $10,000 budget. This project required conceptualizing, storyboarding, and a lot of moving parts to execute the actual video, so I hired on my buddy Dallin, who's a talented writer and producer, and because the project required a nicer camera than I currently owned at that time, I hired my friend Jared Cook, a talented cinematographer who owns his own Red Dragon, to be my DP to film under my direction. Then I hired on a sound guy, a lighting technician, professional actors, a makeup artist, and even a behind-the-scenes guy. And then I acted as director, editor, and color corrector. So in this case, because I used so much of my budget to hire out contractors, I probably only profited around $3,000. So you'll want to factor in all of those things when negotiating negotiating a budget with a client based on their needs for that video. And wherever possible, I'll always try and fill as many roles as I can because that way I can make more money. And because it can be hard to fill up your schedule with gigs for your own company, during the first year of running my own business, I would oftentimes supplement my income by also working as a contractor for other production companies. For example, I would go shoot as a cinematographer for 1 to 2 weeks at a time for a multi-billion-dollar company called Jeunesse. So I charged $1,500 per day, which was my day rate for shooting, for 7 to 10 days at a time, which would make me around 10 grand per shooting trip. So just be aware, even when running your own production company, it can still be a great source of revenue to also work as a contractor for other production companies, especially if you don't have enough clients to fill up your schedule. And this revenue source of running your own production company falls under the second quadrant labeled S for being self-employed, and basically means instead of having a job, you now own your job and are in control of it. You work for yourself, so you can now work as little or as much as you like. No one's holding you to a set schedule or a set amount of work you have to get done, but you still trade time for money. You only make as much as time you're willing to put into working, which means you have a much higher ceiling to your income potential, but there is still a cap on how much you can make because you only have so much time and your skills are only worth so much money. So I'd say a good production company can expect to make anywhere from 100 to 200 grand a year. There's obviously some out there shooting high-end national commercials who make in the millions, but those are rare. I'd say that first year of running my own production company, I probably made around 120 grand. And if I stayed focused on just this one source of revenue, I bet I'd make around $200,000 a year today. But again, I currently don't take on a lot of video clients to my production company as I've graduated to bigger and better streams of revenue. So I probably only take on 1 or 2 big clients a year right now for around $20,000 to $30,000 each. So I probably only make about 50 grand a year for this revenue source right now. Also, one of the pros of running your own production company over working for someone else's production company is that you own all the footage you shoot, which means you can license it, which brings me to our third revenue source, and that is stock footage. As I started shooting a lot of videos and owning that footage, I started to get inquiries from companies who would see my videos on YouTube and ask if they could license some of my footage. For example, I shot a Lantern Festival video for a client, and then after posting that video on YouTube, I started getting inquiries from companies who would see it and want to license it for their own advertising purposes. So I made about 5 grand to shoot that video, and since have made thousands of additional dollars from licensing that footage to other companies. And that's why I make sure to keep a copy of all the footage and make sure to also retain ownership of all that footage in case companies down the road want to license it. And we have a full video in this section that goes more in depth about how much to charge for your stock footage. But point is, there's lots of companies out there that are always looking for stock footage that don't want to spend the money to go shoot it themselves, that are willing to pay good money for your well shot footage. And you may ask, well, how do you get people to contact you about licensing footage? My first tip would be to post shareable, interesting, well shot content online, on social media, on YouTube, because no one's going to contact you if your content is boring and uninteresting or shaky and unprofessional, and they're not going to find it unless you put it out online. My second tip is to film in 4K. 4K files will sell for more money, and some companies won't even consider licensing if it isn't at least 4K resolution. And my third tip is that there's actually a lot of stock footage websites that you can upload your footage and split the commission with them when somebody buys your clip. I've personally tested out putting our clips on multiple stock footage websites, and we probably make about $100 a month from those clips being sold. So nothing special. The bigger money is usually made working out specific deals with bigger companies. And coming to our pie chart, I probably only make about 3 grand a year with stock footage. So overall, licensing footage doesn't make up very much of my income, but it is still an extra source of revenue for a filmmaker. So it's important to keep it in mind when shooting your footage. And coming over to our quadrant, this was the first passive revenue stream that I had created for myself where I didn't have to do additional work to make money. So this one is categorized in the B for business owner, where you build and own a system that works for you. This is where you're now starting to make money that isn't directly tied to the amount of time you have. But moving on now to our fourth source of revenue, and that is AdSense. AdSense is the money you make off of monetizing your YouTube videos. Again, I have a whole separate video in the business section teaching you how to monetize your videos and other videos on how to grow a YouTube channel successfully. But basically how it works is you allow Google to play ads on your videos, and then they pay you per advertisement viewed on your videos. Starting out, this isn't something I did much of, but over the past 3 years or so, I've focused more and more on uploading YouTube videos. I still only post maybe once a month, but I've worked my channel up to getting about 1 million views per month, which makes me about $1,500 per month from AdSense. So it definitely is still worth monetizing the video, but again, not one of my biggest streams of revenue, bringing in about $20,000 a year. And this is another one that fits in the B quadrant of passive income because I upload a video once and it will continue making me money for as long as YouTube stays alive. So another great way to make money that isn't directly tied to how much time I have. And moving on to our fifth source of revenue is gear rental. rentals. This is one that I've only dabbled in briefly. I may start up renting my gear again at some point, but I tried this out for a few months and I got to the point where I was making about $500 to $1,000 a month by offering my gear to others to rent out. But I found that the time that it consumed to have to schedule and meet with people and then train them on how to use the gear wasn't worth the amount of money it was making me. If I had taken the time to build a system and hire out an employee to manage that rental system, then it might make more sense. But because there were other sources of revenue that were making me more money for the amount of time I put in, I nixed this one. So currently I don't make any money renting gear, but I know production houses that will make up to 6 figures a year just renting gear. Obviously they own a lot of gear and devote a lot of time to advertising and running that rental business. And this is one that could fit into the S or B quadrant depending on how well you systemize it. Again, I never got to the B quadrant and gave up because it sucked too much of my time, but I might take another stab at it down the road. Moving on now to our 6th source of revenue is affiliate marketing. As my social media presence has grown, I get asked more and more what gear I use and recommend using, and because I kept getting the same questions over and over, I realized I should probably monetize this need that I see in the marketplace. So I got set up as an affiliate with Amazon and linked it up to a kit.com page where I could throw up all the links of gear I recommend and send people to that page. And if anyone buys through those links, I get paid about 4% commission on those purchases. I've been doing this for about 3 years and have worked up to making about $4 grand a month as an Amazon affiliate. Obviously, if you don't have as big of a following as me, currently I'm at 700,000 subscribers on YouTube, then that number isn't going to be as big. But even if it's just your friends asking you for recommendations, and I know they are, why not send them your affiliate link and make 4% on anything they buy? And again, this source falls into the B quadrant as it is passive income that comes in every month from links that I've left in YouTube videos and on Facebook pages that for as long as people see those links will always bring in some passive income. And coming over to our pie chart, you see that this brings in about $50,000 a year. So definitely a substantial source, but still only making up a sliver compared to other sources. And again, we have a full video in the course showing how to set up an Amazon affiliate account and a kit.com page to start doing affiliate marketing yourself. Also, it doesn't have to be just Amazon. I'm also an affiliate at B&H Photo, Adorama, Rhino, Artlist, MusicBed. Basically any product that you use and recommend, become an affiliate for them so that you can make commission when you recommend those products to others. Moving on now to my 7th source of revenue is YouTube sponsorships. This is one that I was super curious about just 3 years ago as I was starting to grow my YouTube channel. I wondered, how many subscribers do I have to get to before companies will start hitting me up wanting to sponsor my videos? And the answer to that question is that it happened around 100,000 subscribers. That's about when I started getting hit up for sponsorships. But it's not just subscribers that sponsors look for. They also look at engagement on those videos. You can have tons of subs, but if no one is watching and commenting on your videos, then that will detract sponsors. For example, my very first YouTube sponsor deal that I signed back when I had just 100,000 subscribers was for a 30-second plug at the end of 4 of my YouTube videos for $3,500 per video, equaling $14,000 total. But that payout was contingent on the engagement. Those 4 videos had to average 100,000 views each, or 400,000 views total, within a month of posting that 4th and final video. I did end up reaching those 400,000 views over those 4 videos, and they did indeed end up paying me $14,000. Since then, my channel has grown, and since hitting 500,000 subscribers, my price for a 30 to 60 second spot on a YouTube video is a minimum of $10,000. And I usually do about 4 or 5 of those per year, so I end up making around 50 grand per year in YouTube sponsorships. Now that doesn't count bigger sponsor deals like I've done with Hyundai and LG and Huawei. Technically those are YouTube sponsorships too, but are more of a full-on production, so I categorize those in my production company. And going over to our quadrants, this one is technically trading time for money, but it's more so trading my marketing platform for money. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to throw in a 30-second plug into a video that I was going to make anyway, but it does take a lot of time building a YouTube channel to the point where sponsors will come. Keep in mind too that I turn down about 90% of the sponsorship offers I get because either they don't have a big enough budget or I don't believe in the product they're wanting me to promote. I'm super picky with what I put my name behind, so I turn down a lot of money to maintain the integrity of my brand and the trust of my followers. But moving on now to my 8th source of revenue is to create and sell your own product. Up to this point, all of the other sources of revenue have to do with promoting, advertising, marketing, or working for other people's products. As an employee, you work for someone else's production company. As a production company, you are creating video advertising advertisements for other people's products. When selling stock footage, you are licensing your footage to be used to advertise other people's products. When you rent camera gear, you are renting out other people's products. As an affiliate marketer, you are an affiliate for other people's products. In your YouTube sponsorships, you are being sponsored by and promoting other people's products. At some point, you need to ask yourself, why am I spending all my time promoting other people's products? Why don't I create my own product and promote it? Why don't I use all these valuable video skills that I've developed and market and advertise my own product? Going back to the 4 quadrants, creating my own product is the biggest move I've made towards not having to work for money and owning a scalable system that works for me. And the product that I created about 4 years ago is my online course, Full-Time Filmmaker, that currently brings in approximately $3 million in revenue per year. Now that money isn't exactly passive, as I still work super hard to continue improving and growing and scaling this product, but I did build an automated system around the product and have a team of employees to run that system so that I can step away for a week and the business can still run smoothly whether or not I put time in or not. Looking at our pie chart, this is obviously the largest chunk, accounting for about 90% of all the money I make. So as great of an income stream as some of these other sources are, by far the #1 revenue stream I encourage you to open up is coming up with, creating, and selling your own product. Whether that's an online course, a LUT pack, a preset pack, a mobile app, a software, a camera accessory, a subscription to a service you provide, take the time to concept and create a product that fills a need that you see in the marketplace. And you'll know that there's a need in the marketplace if you see a lot of people stumbling across the same problem or asking the same questions. 4 years ago, I was getting asked dozens of questions every day about my filmmaking workflow. So instead of spending half my day answering DMs, I decided to build a product that would fill this need for education that clearly existed in the marketplace. I then spent the next 9 months developing, scripting, filming, and editing a 50 video course called Full-Time Filmmaker. And the week I launched it, I made around 90 grand in sales and thought, hey, there seems to be quite a demand for this product. Let's continue building it and focus more of my energy on selling it. And over the next 4 years, I've grown it to where it is today at over 300 videos, almost 10,000 enrolled students, and I employ several people to help me run it, and it currently brings in around $250,000 a month in revenue. That is the power of using your video skills to create and market your own product. Out of all the sources of revenue, this is by far the hardest one to execute, as it takes learning some new skills like marketing and advertising, but it is by far the most profitable if done right. And for those who don't know, I actually built an entirely new course called Course Creator Pro that teaches my full workflow on how to create, market, and sell your own online course. And you can check that out at coursecreatorpro.com. And FYI, full-time filmmakers can get 40% off this course by using the coupon code in this lecture. Also, keep in mind that you yourself don't have to be the expert to create an online course. As a video creator, you already have the skills to create course videos. All you have to do is find an expert in their field, pitch them the idea of creating a course for their specific knowledge or skill, and split the commission with them. So I can't harp on this one enough. Think outside the box and start brainstorming products that you can create, and start investing some of your time every day into developing your own product. And a great book that will help you start coming up with your own ideas of products to create is called Disrupt You by Jay Samit. I highly recommend reading it to help convert your mind into one of an entrepreneur. But now moving on to our last 2 revenue streams, they both have to do with moving into the 4th quadrant of becoming an investor. In this quadrant, money can be truly passive and work for you. With investing, it does, however, take money to make money, so this is usually the last quadrant that people will enter into. I'm pretty new to the investing quadrant. I've only spent about the past 18 months investing in certain areas, but I highly recommend investing at an earlier age than I did, as the earlier you start, the sooner those investments can grow into much larger sums. And the main place that I invest my money is into a diversified stock and bonds portfolio. Some of it is into a tax-deferred SEP IRA that holds stocks and bonds, and some of it is into a liquid individual account that also holds stocks and bonds. So far, I've been investing about $50,000 a month into these accounts for the past 18 months or so, and in the first year, 2018, the market was down roughly 8% depending on what part of the stock market you look at, and so I actually lost 30 grand last year. But this year so far, through 7 months, the market has been up roughly 18%, and I've gained about $85,000. So overall, in the first 18 months of my investing, I've made about 60 grand, and based on the history of the market over the past 100 years, on average, the market has averaged a 10% increase. Some years it's less, some years it's more, some years it's negative, but if you play the long-term game and treat it like a long-term retirement account, history shows that you will make an average of around 10%. So based on the current amount of money I have in my portfolio, if I don't contribute another dime, which I do actually plan on continuing to contribute, I can expect to make an average of around $100,000 per year from my stock and bonds portfolio, and that number will actually exponentially increase as long as I reinvest those gains. And DaveRamsey.com has a cool investment calculator that you can use that will show you, based on your current age, how much you have saved in your investments, plus how much you plan on contributing monthly, at an estimated rate of return, how much money you will have in your portfolio by the time you retire. And as you can see here, based on my current numbers, if I don't add another dime from this day on, if the market continues at this historical trend of 10%, I will have almost $30 million in my portfolio by the time I retire. Needless to say, investing while you're young can make or break your financial freedom in your later years in life. And as a quick example, if you were to start investing at age 18, just $100 a month until you're 65, at the average rate of 10%, you would have over $1 million in your account. So start young and hold long term. And where exactly do I invest my money, you may ask? I actually use a financial advisor named Dallin who works at a firm called Financial Insight Center. He manages all my portfolios for me, and he's actually putting together an online course right now teaching people of any income level everything he tells his clients to help the masses learn how to invest their money wisely, how to avoid commonly made investment mistakes, and how to prepare for retirement. This investing course isn't quite done yet, but again, I'm providing a link in this lecture where you can opt into his email list to be notified when his investing course will become available. And moving on to my 10th and final source of income that is also an investment is real estate. Again, I'm very new to real estate, just now getting started at age 29. I have big plans on what I hope to do with real estate, but so far all I've done is built a $1.5 million commercial building with my friend Brady, who is a commercial real estate agent. We both own businesses that required an office space, so instead of paying $5,000 a month to rent someone else's space, we decided to build our own building, become the owners, occupy 2 of the 3 spaces as tenants, and lease out the 3rd space. The building is just about complete. We plan to move in next month, at which time we will wholesale the building plus contracted tenants for what we hope to be anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000 gain, which we will then roll into another real estate investment. So as of today, I haven't made any money from our real estate, but plan on it being a big revenue stream in years to come. And again, this one fits into the I quadrant of investing, as for the most part, owning real estate and renting out those properties is passive income as long as you can find a solid landlord to take care of and upkeep the properties and tenant needs. But there you have it, guys. That is a look at my current 10 sources of revenue and the approximate amount of money I currently make from each. I don't share this info to brag about how much money I make, but rather to open up your minds to the many limitless possibilities of ways that you can make money as a filmmaker or video content creator or businessman in general. So hopefully this gives you a few ideas on how you can spend your time more wisely to make money, and how you can hopefully and eventually move away from working for money and move yourself into the B and I quadrant and start making money work for you. But that's it. If you guys have any further questions, please let me know.